Hello, welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows, episode 516, Son of a Sailor. That's why I'm wearing this Hawaiian shirt also. For those who probably don't know, Jimmy Buffett passed away yesterday, and so in honor of Mr. Buffett, here we go. We'll talk about him in a second, but it's also Labor Day weekend, so it's a Sunday. This is the last Sunday before football starts, so I figure I'd get this last one in on a Sunday because I like doing them on Sunday afternoons before I go back to Saturday evenings. Which I'll be doing from now on until maybe Ravens have their bye week, which is until like December, or they have a Thursday night game. So we'll decide what's going to happen then. So that's what's going on with that. College football started this weekend. There was some definite lopsided scores in there. And we got some trailers. We've got some other stuff as well. New movie suggestions: Barbenheimer, Barbie Oppenheimer, Barbie, Wizard of Oz, Halloween, Space, Book of Clarence, Ice Cream, and I'm going to have a lot of trouble reading today. Obliterated. I'm going to write that down because I really was not focused much. Right? Jurassic Chess, Five Nights at Freddy, Animals, Wonka, Starfield, fun stuff like that. So let's get to it. Nothing do it but to get to it. Let me my eyes are really not 100% today either, which I don't understand. All of a sudden, they're just really, really hurting. So you got to bear with me here for a little bit. So here we go. Let's get something to drink here. Let's get busy. Of course, first and foremost, the biggest story of the week is Jimmy Buffett passing away. For those who don't know who Jimmy Buffett, I'm actually going to take these off for a second. Those who don't know who Jimmy Buffett is, he was a musician who sang a lot of beach-type songs, party songs, summer songs. He was a perennial summer dude, lived down in Key West, and was just a generally good guy. His most famous song, of course, is Margaritaville, but he also did Cheeseburger in Paradise, which he also opened a chain of restaurants called Cheeseburger in Paradise. Son of a Sailor. And Come Monday, which is my favorite, which actually the first line is him playing the Labor Day weekend gig. It's about him missing his wife or girlfriend as he's traveling and wanted to be back together with them after Labor Day sort of thing. So 76 years old. He was born in 45, 46, which is a year older than my dad and my father-in-law, but his birthday must not have come through yet. So he was 76 years old. Lots of tributes to him. Hawaiian shirt here, obviously. Margaritaville. Apparently, he also never drank margaritas, so that's kind of interesting. He wrote a song all about Margaritaville. His concerts had a certain amount of people who would follow him around, and I think you called them parrot heads, I think, and they all came to his concerts and traveled with him and had a great time. He went to Merriweather Post Pavilion, which is the big concert venue up here near me, 45 times. So that's pretty impressive. He always came up here and always did Merriweather Post Pavilion. So you got to give him credit there. So Jimmy Buffett passed away this week at the age of 76. So we also have the beginning of, it is now September, 3rd? Yeah, it's September 3rd. Sunday. We are in the middle of Labor Day weekend. We still have one more day off from work and school tomorrow, and then back to the grind again. I'm have a dentist appointment on Thursday, and I'm taking Friday off. So I have a nice long weekend coming up as well. And the kids and wife will not be here next weekend because they have a Broad Creek camping 75th anniversary camping event. It's going to be a huge event, party atmosphere, lots of fun stuff for them to do. So I'm excited for that. Next weekend is also Baltimore Comic-Con and is also the Reisterstown Festival. So a lot of stuff coming up this weekend. However, before we get to that weekend, we got to get through this shitty week, because the temperature, we're getting into a heat dome effect here. The temperatures here in Reisterstown today are going to be 92 degrees, tomorrow 95, Tuesday 95, Wednesday 96, Thursday 93, before we get to a cool down, 86 on Friday, 84 Saturday, 82 Sunday, 81 Monday, 81 Tuesday. So we got a big ways to go. Also this week, coming up, football starts, NFL football. Thursday night, the Chiefs and Lions kick off the new season. Ravens play on Sunday against the Texans at home in Baltimore. So the Comic-Con and the Ravens home opener are going to be at the same time. Thankfully, the Orioles are out of town. Next weekend, I think they'll be in Boston, because they're in Arizona now. Then I think they go to Anaheim, and then I think they're back to Boston. They'll have a few days for travel in between there like that. So I'm thinking of doing a NFL preview show on my other show, interviews with myself, and also maybe a fall movie preview coming up soon, even though there's a lot of movement going on with that. So we'll see if all that, my football preview, if I decide to do it, I might do tomorrow, since we have time tomorrow, because I've got nothing going on for my Labor Day. So we'll see what happens. But it is meteorological fall, which means the 1st of September. So technically we are in meteorological fall. Astronomical fall doesn't hit until 23rd of September. So we got a little ways to go, 20 days to go before that. The new season of Pokemon Go, Adventures Abound, started on the 1st, and there was a Charmander Community Day yesterday, which my wife and I took complete part of for the whole event. Walked all the way down to Hannamore Park and back. And the new Paldean Pokemon from Scarlet Violet are going to make their appearance in Pokemon Go starting on Tuesday. So we got that going on. Fortnite's still in the middle of their new season, so they're only about a week and a few days old for their new season, so that's good on that as well. And college football started this week. My hometown team, the University of Maryland, they won against Towson University. The first week, is usually games that ranked teams play against lesser ranked teams, or teams that aren't even, not lesser ranked teams that aren't even ranked, or little small, like division schools, just to give them some looks, and basically it's a way for them to show off their stuff. And the only team that's really done anything about that was App State, where, these ranked teams would say, hey, we can play easy team like App State. And App State has beaten 2 of these teams during these special weekends. And there really wasn't any major surprise. In fact, there was a lot of disproportionate scores in the college football era here starting on Saturday. It's a lot of crazy, so I'll get into that in a second. But the big one was TCU, which was in the national game. It was the national championship, lost the national championship last year. They're ranked number 17. So, I guess they lost a bunch of people, so they got a lower rank. So they figured they would start their season against Colorado. Now, Colorado, during the offseason, they picked up Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, who used to play for the Ravens and Falcons, a whole bunch of things, and also played some baseball as well. We all know Neon Deion, or Prime Time, as they call him also. He had worked for 3 years at a smaller school, like Jackson State or something like that, and brought that school a lot of, I think he went 23-12 or something during that year. So he did very, very well. His son was a quarterback there. So when they saw how good he was doing with this team and stuff like that, Colorado, which used to be a powerhouse college football team and has fallen by the wayside over the last few years, decided that they're going to give him the moon, Deion Sanders the moon, to come in and turn their program around. So Deion came in and started, ruffling feathers with the school right away, and the team that was there the year before. He basically said, none of you guys are going to be here next year because you're not good, sort of basically. So, here's the door. You can go to another school and play there unless you show me something during like the audition process. He brought his son as quarterback, and a bunch of his Jackson State people. He transferred from whatever Jackson State or whatever school it was to Colorado, so he can have a core of his team. But he had his son as the quarterback there. And he, once he was introduced as coaches, more kids wanted to go to Colorado because who wouldn't want to play with Hall of Famer Deion Sanders? Plus, the Colorado, tickets, season tickets, which weren't selling worth jack, all of a sudden are all sold out. Colorado merchandise in Colorado was flying off of the shelves because they all saw this as a second coming, a turnaround, whatever. So TCU decided they wanted to play them. So TCU is ranked number 17. Colorado was not ranked because everybody's like, it's still Deion. Can he do what he can with a big school, what he did with a small school? And it was so bad that when the point spreads came out, Colorado was a 20.5 point underdog. Colorado ended up winning the game 45-42 over number 17 TCU. And to prove that his son wasn't just there because of nepotism, his son threw for 4 touchdowns, 4 or 5 touchdowns, and 4 touchdowns, and threw for a Colorado University record 510 yards in one game. So he apparently, made his, Colorado, Deion made his statement, and I have no doubt because it is Deion and because of them beating number 17, Colorado will make it into the top 25 this upcoming week. TCU will probably still be in the top 25, but I think Colorado will probably be up there. Like I think TCU might be like 22, 23, and Colorado will be like 20, 21 probably be my prediction. But to show the disparity in college games this week, because as I said, a lot of these big market schools who are the big schools or whatever, they playing these smaller crappy schools. Here's what we got. USC 56-28. These are just the big ones. Oklahoma, number 20, Oklahoma 73-0 over Arkansas State. Number 12, Tennessee 49-13 over Virginia. Number 22, Mississippi 73-7 over Mercer. Number 15, Oregon 81-7 over Portland State. 81 points. Number 13, Notre Dame 56-3 over Tennessee State. Number 10, Washington 56-19 over Boise State. Number 1, Georgia 48-7 over Tennessee Martin. Number 6, USC 66-14 over Nevada. Number 16, Kansas State 45-0 over SEMO. Number 23, Texas A&M 52-10 over New Mexico. Number 4, Alabama 56-7 over Middle Tennessee. And those are just the ranked schools right now. So those are the scores. Lots of 70s and 80s in there. They just unloaded on these smaller schools. And, it's kind of disappointing that they did that. I mean, you play to win the game, I guess, and the team should be playing better to stop. But these are powerhouse teams that have NFL caliber players going up against teams with players that are not even going to sniff the NFL. And it just doesn't seem fair to me. But these schools get money for playing these teams. They get exposure when it comes to, the mainstream media networks. They might get some if a couple players, pop, even though they might be losing 73-0 or whatever. A few players might pop with maybe their defense, or they might have got an interception, or not in that case, but in other cases, maybe scored a touchdown or got a good few yards rushing, or receiving. They might get some scouts looking at them, and maybe they'll get a chance to try something, or transfer to another school, bigger school that allow them to do that. This is some of the topic real quick. This isn't on my book, but I figured I'd bring it up anyway because I was thinking about it earlier. I think Stanford and USC have been invited by the ACC to join the ACC. We've been talking about all these, big college groups. The Pac-12 is disappearing because the Big Ten has taken a bunch of them, and the Big 12 is disappearing because SEC is taking them over. So you've got these big powerhouse football things, and you got these smaller ones that are getting decimated because they're not making the money that these big ones are. And so in order to make that money, they have to join these groups. So this one really got me, though. Stanford and USC out on California. West Coast. The ACC has extended them an invitation to join the ACC. The ACC is the Atlantic Coast Conference. Atlantic Coast Conference. Run that through your head a little bit. Atlantic Coast Conference. Stanford and USC are in California, which is on the Pacific Ocean, our Pacific Coast schools. It doesn't make any sense. Plus, the Big Ten, which Maryland is a part of, now has like 24 teams in it. It used to have 10. It just doesn't. SEC, Southeastern Conference, have teams from the North and the West and the regular East, not the Southeast. So I'm going to say about that, but damn, son. I think I mentioned this last week, but I'm going to bring it up again. Dune 2 has been moved to March 2024, which increases the possibility that Barbie and Oppenheimer are going to get better shots at winning Oscars and getting, or at least nominated for Oscars and potentially winning them as well, because Dune 2 will not be eligible for the Oscars in 2023 for 2023 because they'll be opening in 2024. Now, another movie that people have been talking about that might have Oscar potential that potentially could move is apparently been said that they will not. Wonka, which is the Timothée Chalamet prequel to the Willy Wonka movies, is not changing its date and will still open as of now on Christmas 2023. The SAG-AFTRA and WGA strikes are starting to, create a lot of these shifts, and there's a lot more coming. Marvel Disney is one of the big ones like that. Loki season 2 is still coming out October 6th, but they shifted all their other stuff after that. What If has now been moved up to Christmas. What If season 2 has moved up to Christmas. Echo, which was supposed to come out in December, is now going to come out in January of 2024. X-Men 97, the cartoon continuation of the famous cartoon from 1997, will be getting an early 2024 debut. Agatha has going to go in its second name change, is now called The Darkhold Diaries, is now set for fall of 2024, a full year later. And I forget her name. The young girl who was in Black Panther 2, Iron Chick or whatever, Iron Hood hat, whatever, which they had a TV show. Ironheart, that's what it is. Ironheart, the Wonder Man TV show, and Daredevil Born Again have all been taken off of the schedule and do not know when they will be rescheduled to come back on to Disney Plus because they've had to shut down due to the writer's strike and stuff like that. So I think Ironheart was almost completed their season before the strike happened, so they might be one of the first to get a new date here. I think they're also waiting to tie it into a different film, and they have to wait till that comes together as well. Wonder Man was just getting started, as was Daredevil, so some stuff has been filmed for both of those, but now since it's been pushed off, we will see what happens like that. The second season of the She-Hulk, once all this gets taken care of, is also apparently in the works, as is Doctor Strange 3. Both being discussed that these have been, despite the fact that the strike is still going on, they are still announcing these types of shows and stuff like that. So we'll see what is going on with that. It's going to make D23 even more interesting. Excuse me, make it less interesting because we already know when Percy Jackson's coming out. We just maybe get the new trailer with the full stuff. That might be the one big thing of that. But we're not going to get any other Marvel stuff, really, because they've all been sort of delayed and pushed off. So we'll see what happens with that. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs will be getting a 4K restoration coming out on October 10th to Blu-ray. They showed some behind-the-scenes stuff to show you how the Blu-ray restoration is going to go, and it looks crisp and clean, looks really good. So for fans of Snow White, you should be ecstatic about this. You're going to get a much clearer version of the film instead of sort of the faded out version you've had before. Now, of course, the faded version might be your more forte, it's more original, whatever, but this just makes it look a lot cleaner, crisper, and better looking. How I Met Your Father has been canceled after its second season, so we're never going to find out how you met your father. Hulu has decided to drop the bomb on that one. Again, if the WGA strike and SAG-AFTRA strike wasn't happening, could this have been a casualty? It very well still could have been, but we will never know. The live-action Little Mermaid is coming to Disney Plus this week, coming on September 6th. The next big film to be released has not been mentioned until this week. Taylor Swift has decided that she is going to release a concert film of her Eras tour, which is breaking records all over the place. So it was filmed for a movie theater experience. One of her concerts was filmed, and they are going to release it in movie theaters on October 13th. For those who could not buy the extravagant price tickets, or they were all sold out before you could get it, you can now go to your local movie theater and get and see it on the big screen. It's not going to be quite the same as being there, but it's the second best thing to do. The good news about that is it's going to continue the box office growth that we've been seeing lately. It already has $37 million worth of pre-sales, which is more than the new Star Wars movie that started the much hated Future trilogy, which was at the time was the record holder at the time. $37 million in pre-sales is an insane amount of, I think actually maybe it wasn't the record, because I think Endgame has more. I think it has 50 million pre-sales. But the Taylor Swift Eras concert movie has $37 million in pre-sales right now. That's just pre-sales. People who bought their tickets ahead of time for its October 13th debut in the movie theaters. AMC, which always has these themed popcorn stuff and drink stuff, they've already got a popcorn and drink themed sort of thing for it already. So that's, I guess they knew it was coming. That's why they prepped for that as well. And the fact is right now, it looks like that when it comes out on the 13th, it's really not going to have any competition. So they're projecting right now, I think it's going to be more. That's just me. They're projecting right now a $70 to $75 million opening, which is amazing for a concert movie. And the other good part about that is this was set up entirely by Taylor Swift and her production companies and her management companies. Is not being distributed through any of the distributors like Warner Brothers or Disney or anything like that. So all the money they're making will not be going to the production houses that are currently at war with SAG-AFTRA and the WGA. The money's going to go directly to Taylor Swift and her production company, because they're the ones who made the movie, are releasing it and distributing it through the concert, through the movie theaters, not any movie distributors. So that's a win also for SAG-AFTRA and the WGA as well. So get on that. Speaking of money, Barbie has now become Warner Brothers' highest grossing film of all time, and that's global, everything. So it is now the highest grossing Warner Brothers movie of all time, surpassing Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, which was the leader at the time. So Barbie is now Warner Brothers' highest grossing film of all time. And to celebrate it, it will be going into IMAX theaters on September 22nd. So good on that as well. More on Barbie and its companion Oppenheimer a little bit later in the show. Speaking of Oppenheimer, Josh Hartnett, who was a big deal in the early 90s, the late 90s and early 2000s in movie theaters, and was projected to be a big star and then disappeared for a while, has slowly been making a comeback, made an appearance in Nolan's Oppenheimer, and a pretty good role in that. It was unrecognizable till I read the credits. He is now being rumored to be up for the role of Dr. Doom, and honestly, he looks the part. He's a good-looking guy, and you scar him a little bit, and he makes him go a little crazy. He played some crazy characters in the late 90s, so I think he has the acting chops to do it. And I would find that a very intriguing casting decision. They decided to do that. Because of the strike, the Venice Film Festival went ahead as scheduled, though. But Adam Driver was the only one who got a what is the word I'm looking for? It's right to my tongue. A waiver to actually go and promote his movie, Ferrari, which is Michael Mann's new film. More about Ferrari in a little bit, but he was able to go to the premiere of the Venice Film Festival. So that's a good sign for him also, because that could be potential Oscar bait for him as well. But during it, because there weren't a lot of stars there, there's still lots of paparazzi, stuff like that. And because there weren't a lot of people on there, a pigeon happened to land on the red carpet and walk down the red carpet in front of the photographers. So I thought that was kind of a funny little story about that. Where is that? There it is. The Equalizer 3 with Denzel Washington looks like it's going to have a good box office weekend. Maybe not Barbie, Oppenheimer level stuff, but I think it's looks like it's going to make upwards of $36 million, which is on par with what the other ones have made. And so it just means that they did a good job of coming out with the third one. So Equalizer looks like it's going to win the box office this week. There's actually a woman named Barbie Oppenheimer, and she's been having trouble lately trying to get into hotels, because when they ask for her name and she gives them that, they think she's giving them a fake name or whatever. But her name is actually Barbie Oppenheimer, because Oppenheimer is a regular name. There are other people named Oppenheimer out in the world, and there are people named Barbie. And this is an older lady, so Barbie Oppenheimer was around before Barbenheimer was. So just kind of it's funny when these sort of like Barbenheimer things come up, but sometimes you don't see how it affects people who have similar names like that. So it's similar with, there was a guy who worked at Penn State who was sexually molesting and abusing fellow football players. Not Penn State. Yeah, it was Penn State. And Jim Jordan, who is a Republican a-hole, was complicit in it and has not fully really been charged with it. And now he is a senator or congressman, and he's talking about propriety and stuff like that. And you got to say you're a fucking hypocrite, but that's the Republican Party for you. Regardless, and the guy who was accused of being, I forget the guy's name right now, but the guy who was accused of and found guilty of the sexual assault of male student athletes shared the name of a Baltimore Ravens television announcer and sportscaster for like Channel 2 News or Channel 11 News. So when that story broke, which was a sports story, and he had the same name as the guy who was the molester, it got a little confusing as well. So you just got to watch out. But yes, there is someone named Barbie Oppenheimer, and she's having trouble getting into hotels now, which is it's funny, but it's also kind of sad, and hope for the best for her on that end. So Hayao Miyazaki's The Boy and the Heron is his newest big hit over in Japan, and he decided he wanted to try something different, so he did not promote the movie, did not release a trailer, did not release previews, and wanted everybody, and didn't do commercials or whatever, and really didn't talk about all that much, and wanted to see, people to experience it without having seen what it's about, having no idea what the title was even. All I knew was that new Miyazaki movie is coming out on this date. So Japan, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago, had a stellar box office debut of the new film, which turned out to be called The Boy and the Heron. And they have refused to, anyone who saw it, who's written reviews of it, they have not been produced. I've not seen one review of it. I think maybe it's in the law that you can't write a review of it. So it's shifting over to America. It's set to debut in America in December. I think they've released some pictures of it now, but they're just still pictures, and they don't really have what the story idea is about, but they have some of the still pictures about. So it's not 100 exactly percent what he wants to do. So Miyazaki said, "This is America. They need everything handed to them. So I'm going to make a trailer for The Boy and the Heron." And they're like, "Oh, great! I get to see what it looks like, so I can see if I'm interested in seeing it." All it is words, and it's just Hayao Miyazaki, or maybe it's him even speaking about it, describing what the story is about. That's it. You don't see any footage from it. You just know what the story is about, and that's the trailer. And I find that genius. It's set to debut, I think, December 1st, 2nd, somewhere around there. So I don't know. I think it might backfire here in the United States because we are fucking stupid, and we have to have everything handed to us on a plate. But I think that Miyazaki fans, when they know it's coming, they will come, and it should make some money. And it's intriguing enough that maybe it'll get people who might not have been interested in it to begin with to decide, hey, we should check this out because nobody knows anything about it. So that's kind of cool. So we'll see how that plays out as well. See, I can't read this one. Jesus. Oh, that's what it is. Okay. Man in England takes picture of a big cat after he discovered a freshly half-eaten deer. Now, for the longest time, there have been rumors in England the fact that there are big cats like leopards, jaguars, stuff like that, roaming the moors of England. Hound of Baskervilles was sort of the onus to set that up a little bit, and no one believed for a second that there were leopards or panthers or cheetahs or any type of big cat roaming the English countryside, because where would they come from? How would they get there? It doesn't make any sense. But then you have to start thinking about things. There are panthers in Florida's swamps. So they can survive, and we don't know how they get there, but they can survive and they can make their way and live in these sort of things. So there have been more studies made because there have been a ton of these big cat sightings on the moors like that. And, their pets who they keep outside being found, slaughtered, and they don't understand what it is, but they don't. And the big cat tends to be a sleeker, black, sort of dark colored animal. So it's got that whole supernatural vibe. The Moors have that vibe. American Werewolf in London is a similar take on that, because these mysterious big cats in England have been a part of cryptozoology for the longest time. And there have been some more proof that's been coming up through science that there is some form of big cat that has found a home on the English moors. So it should not seem that big of a deal because animals are discovered in places of the world all over the place. But it's still kind of odd that a leopard or panther or whatever that you don't expect to see in English moors is actually there. But there's the proof keeps mounting and building, and science is finding more and more proof that there's something out there, even though nothing has really been photographed until recently. This guy in England who discovered a half-eaten deer took a picture around the area, and in the corner you can actually see a sort of black panther with its eyes glowing looking at him. So I don't know if the panther ran away or whatever, but it got into the picture. So there's proof is mounting that there are big cats in England. And again, it shouldn't be a huge surprise. Florida, as I said, has panthers and all kinds of big cats there as well. And there's other big cats out west. Yes, it's weird to think of, that type of big cat being a part of your country, but it is. And it's not supernatural. It's just the way it is. Somehow these big cats found their way onto the English moors, are able to hide themselves so nobody sees them for centuries, periodically with eyewitness accounts here and there. They could be nocturnal for all we know, and they have places that you just wouldn't expect. You don't want to go into the woods looking to try to find a bear cave or any type of other moose hutch or whatever you call those things. You don't go looking for this home. So people are not going to be going into the woods saying, hey, let's see if we can find the Panthers' home. So you could actually, be, somehow see some weird things you don't recognize, and they're there. They could be sleeping away or who knows. So what's going on? So that's kind of cool. I bring that up because it's considered a supernatural thing, a cryptozoological thing, though it has a pretty easy explanation. It just so happens that there's an English big cat on the loose. It's not unusual. It really isn't. But last week, or the last couple of weeks, I've been talking about Loch Ness. The biggest ever search for the Loch Ness monster in 50 plus years is underway right now currently. And so far it has gotten us 2 really good pictures and thermal energy drone photography of a potentially big creature on the shores of Loch Ness that was taken at night. So they're getting some kind of proof. They don't know exactly what it is yet, but they are getting pictures and they are getting thermal imaging, and that something's going on. So this huge endeavor they found a cave last week. I told you about it. They found an underwater cave that could potentially be the habitat for the monsters. They've been finding a lot of stuff because of this huge rollout. Now, this is easier of a search than it would be to look for a Bigfoot. If they had this huge Bigfoot group, you'd be walking through the jungles. There's just too much, hiding spots in the jungle that, and too much jungle, you wouldn't be, not jungle, forest, I should say. They would not be able to see it. Now, there has been some drone footage of strange thermal imaging creatures walking through the woods at night. And of course, you're still getting the Bigfoot pictures as well. But with Loch Ness, it's a whole lot easier because you can use sonar and you can use thermal imaging and you can take pictures. And yes, it's Loch Ness is dark because peat, which is a sort of dirt ground sort of thing, is what the bottom of Loch Ness is made of. And that's just the way Scotland is. It's their ground type. So that's not unusual either. So it's kind of hard to see. So that's why Loch Ness has been able to hide their monster for so long and not be revealed because of the darkness of the water and the massive size of the loch as well. But in this case, this huge endeavor is actually bringing about some good evidence, and they're still working, so they're not done yet. So hopefully the next few weeks we'll be seeing more and more stuff coming through there as well. The James Webb Space Telescope has an instrument that is experiencing a glitch. It is not affecting its ability to take these crazy pictures, but it could be less help in certain other areas as well, unless they can fix this glitch, which they are working on presently to try to fix. So it's not going to shut down the whole thing, but it's enough to be sort of an annoying sort of glitch to do that. John Waters is a local film director here in Baltimore. His most famous film is Hairspray. He made the original movie, which they based the musical on, which he was involved with as well. But he has been making movies in Baltimore for a long time. He's been taking sort of a little bit of a hiatus for 20-some years. I don't think he's even made a film this century yet. He might have made one, but I don't think he's made one this century yet. He's written a bunch of books, and he does these like Christmas and Halloween sort of events here in Maryland and stuff like that. And apparently, supposedly, he has been making a new film recently. I think I mentioned it last year. He was going to be able to start making a film last year, but I have not heard anything about it since then. But I guess I don't know exactly where this came from, but John Waters was doing a sit-down interview with actress Aubrey Plaza. Very nice. Anyway, I don't know where this discussion was coming from, where it was or whatever, but during this discussion, John Waters told Aubrey Plaza that he actually has a film that he has completed, they completed years ago, that has not seen the light of day yet, and it's just either because he hasn't been able to get distribution for it, or he doesn't know if he really wants to release it, or whatever. But he was filmed entirely at where is that? I just had it here. Oh yeah, there we go. At the Patuxent Correctional Facility in Jessup, Maryland. So it was filmed at a jail with real inmates, and the film is called I can't read my handwriting, but it's he does have, and he did give the name of it. I just can't read my handwriting about what it is right now. But he has this film in the can that's done, that he used these Patuxent facility people in jail to film this movie. And I don't know if whatever he's waiting for can't get distribution for it, doesn't want to distribute it because it might be seen as taking advantage of these prisoners. I don't know, but he does have one there, so that's pretty cool. Puerto Rican male monkeys have more sex with other males than they do with females, a new study finds. I'm just going to leave that hang here and let you, think about that a little bit, that, homosexuality is not that big of a deal. It happens in the animal kingdom. It happened in the old days, the Roman Empire and the Greek Empire, stuff like that. In fact, they preferred homosexual sex to heterosexual sex. And I'm not going to say anything else about that. So just leaving that there. Burger King faces a lawsuit claiming that their Whopper does not look like the pictures. And again, it seems to me like another frivolous lawsuit that has no reason for being, because it's not going to look exactly like the picture. The picture is a way to entice you to come in and get it, but there really is no way you can perfectly create the same exact thing you see in the picture. It's advertising. If you ever see those advertisements where you get the steaming hot coffee, or the drip of the syrup off of something, or like that, it's done with non-food stuff. It's just the way it is. And hopefully it will not be another lawsuit that goes for the defendants who are trying to, or actually the prosecutors, who are trying to get money from Burger King, because it's a ridiculous lawsuit, frivolous lawsuit. Flipping gears, apple pie filled cookies. Everyone forgets that apple is a big fall fruit as well, because it's apple season, and apple cider, hot apple pie, and here we have apple pie filled cookies. Sounds kind of interesting. The apple pie fruit pies that like Hostess stuff does are actually pretty good as well. So good on that. Pokemon has new Squashmallows, including this one. The new ones are Clefairy and Teddy Ursa. So if you're a fan of Squashmallows and of Pokemon, you have brand new ones you can look after now. Speaking of football, I talked about football earlier, but Andy Reid, the coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, revealed this week that a couple years ago, he was approached by a janitor in Kansas City who said that he had a really cool idea for a offensive play. He wanted to let Coach Reid find out about it, and Coach Reid listened to him, because Coach Reid isn't just going to say, shut up, you're just a stupid janitor, you don't know what you're talking about. He listened to him, and he thought about it. It's like, this is a damn good play. So he went to his offense coordinator, I think at the time was Eric Bieniemy, and he said, hey, we should probably run this play just to see what happens. This janitor told me about it, and it seems like it could possibly work, and they probably practice it in practice a few times, and so they did it in an actual game, and I think it scored him a touchdown. So it actually was successful, and Andy Reid gave complete credit to the janitor. So you never know where you're going to get your ideas from. So it's kind of cool. It's also along the lines with Bryan Cranston, who's been making the rounds on Reels, stuff like that. When he's been doing interviews where he's been talking about when he was on Seinfeld, he played the dentist that Jerry thought was molesting him while he was under the influence of gas. And there was a bit where Cranston was on the set himself, just trying to run through his lines, stuff like that. And the guy hanging lights said, "Hey, it'd be funny." And Cranston was like, looked up and said, "Yeah, would be funny, just to talk to the guys if you took a hit of the gas before you gave it to Jerry." And Bryan Cranston was like, "God damn, that's a really good idea." And he didn't tell Jerry. He didn't say anything to Jerry or the writers, anything like that, or the director. So, because there was probably a lot of improv involved in Seinfeld when it came to that. So then when the time came to film the sequence, he did exactly what the lighting guy told him to. He took a hit of it and then gave it to Jerry, and Jerry just lost it. And it took him forever to film the scene because he kept losing it every time it happened. So eventually they were able to get the scene, and the scene is in the episode. And after they filmed it, everybody's like, "Hey, where'd you get the idea for?" And he was looking around trying to find the lighting guy because the guy was up there, and he found him. So that guy gave it to me, and then the guy made some funny comment, but it was just kind of funny that good people will not take credit for stuff they get from other people. They will give the proper credit where it's due. And Bryan Cranston and Andy Reid are two guys that do that. So good on them. An engraving from 3,000 years ago finds an Assyrian diver, the first ever appearance of someone going underwater and diving. And he had a big sheepskin, I guess, that was filled with air or something that was attached so he would be able to breathe. So they had this first. So people have been going underwater with diving stuff for 3,000 years now. I thought that was kind of interesting. Now, a few minutes ago, I was talking about the ghost panthers and Bigfoot, stuff like that, and cryptozoological stuff for animals that, weren't in unexpected places. Well, we had a hurricane that ran through Florida earlier this week. And after it came through, a bunch of people in the Southwest Florida beaches discovered a number of flamingos had made their way to the southwestern Florida beaches. I guess they're not normal people, residents of that area, because people were shocked to see them and were intrigued by them and wondering what they were doing there. And this is not the only incident of flamingos being seen. Around the same day or a day or so before or after this happened, people in Ohio spotted flamingos on the coast of a lake. And again, how did they get there? No idea. So kind of interesting sort of stuff happening out there in the world right now. More stuff. Two quantum photons. Two photons got a picture taken of them using quantum photography, and the picture of the two photons gives it a yin and yang look, which is just kind of weird that we know what yin and yang looks like, and yet here's a picture of two photons that have never been shown before. Looks exactly like the yin and yang sign. I think that's just kind of a intriguing sort of look at some stuff. 92,003 fans went to a Nebraska college, went to Nebraska College University's Memorial Stadium to watch a women's volleyball game, and it has now set the world record for a women's sporting event. Spectators at the women's sporting event. 92,003 fans showed up for a women's volleyball game at a massive football stadium. Now, the stadium itself does not hold 93,000 people. So since it's a volleyball area and the field is much smaller than a football field, they just put the field on the volleyball court on the field, and then they opened up the areas around on the field and up for the box seats. Then it led up into the stadium. So the stadium was completely sold out, and then they had all these, like, probably another 20 or 30,000 seats that were spread out from around the where the court is in the middle of the football field for that. But 92,003 spectators went to see a Nebraska women's volleyball game, which I think is really kind of cool. Actually, I think they said it was a double header, so that's kind of cool. Jodie Foster's return to television and film, True Detective Night County, has been pushed from its late 2023 debut to early 2024 debut. Not unusual for what's going on with SAG-AFTRA, WGA. Idiocracy, its anniversary comes this week, 17 years this week. And The Wizard of Oz is 84 years old this week as well. AMC, the AMC network has reached a deal with SAG-AFTRA and WGA, and they've acquiesced to all of their demands. So now SAG-AFTRA members can now go back to work, and WGA writers can now go back to work on all AMC productions. That includes the Walking Dead spinoffs and the Interview with Vampire Season 2. So those are now officially going back before the cameras because they've made the deal with the SAG-AFTRA, the different unions. So good for that. September 1st was also your Back to Hogwarts Day. So that was another big thing that happened last week as well. This is kind of an interesting thing. Hammer Films, the Hammer films from the 50s and 60s, which were the old school sort of schlocky, gruesome sort of horror Dracula films with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing and stuff like that. The studio hasn't really been seen for a long time, but this week, the Hammer Film Studio was acquired by a British theater manager named John Gore, and rumor is that he's going to open it up and start a new film production of more Hammer films coming out, probably taking a similar take to some of the other horror niche groups out there as well. Timbaland, the Justin Timberlake, Nelly Furtado duo is returning after 12 years with a new song. So Timbaland's coming out there. Duran Duran, the classic 80s band that had a couple hits in the 90s, is releasing a Halloween album, of all things, out on October 27th. I haven't heard their first single from it yet, called Danse Macabre. I want to hear it, see how good this is, but it is a fully Halloween themed album. It is not just, hey, we're going to call it this, and there might be one or two Halloween songs, and the rest are going to be regular songs. No, it's an entire album of Halloween songs. So that's kind of cool for that. I can't wait to see how that rolls out and see what that's sort of like. 3,000-year-old mummified bee is so well preserved. You can see the flowers that in between its that it feasted on, and in between its little legs and stuff like that. Planet Earth 3, the Planet Earth and Planet Earth 2, which are two great nature documentaries, fantastic ones, hosted by Richard Attenborough, is coming back for a third one. Planet Earth 3 is currently in production right now, and Richard Attenborough, who's 97 years old and still kicking, will again be narrating the show. So he's recording that right now. So that's good on that. What the hell? Something season 2 coming soon. Yeah, some season 2 is coming soon. I cannot. Summer, fall of 2024. Yeah, some shows season 2 is coming out soon. I couldn't tell you what that is. Taco Bell is teasing Mountain Dew Baja Blast Gelato at its Irvine, California store. And if it does really well, they'll spread it out to other Taco Bells in the area. Spirit Halloween is selling Spirit Halloween Monopoly, which apparently is going to consist of vacant areas, vacant buildings or whatever, as the buildings you find for Spirit Halloween. I don't know how that's exactly going to work, but okay. What the hell is that? Oh yeah, Wheel of Time season 2. The first 3 episodes of it came out this week. My wife is a huge fan of the book series, and I didn't. It's been 2 years since the first season came out. It was okay. This second season had 3 episodes. They were okay. It's not something that I'm dying to revisit, but I wanted to watch it because I'm interested in it, but it's starting to sort of grate on me a little bit, and I'm not that interested in it as much anymore. But we'll probably there's only 5 more episodes left, and they're all going to be released next weekend, so we'll probably end up watching those eventually. But yeah, so if you're a fan of it, it seems to be better than the first season. I don't remember a lot from the first season, so I'm not really lost, but I'm still kind of remembering things. But it's just sort of bleh, for me. That's just me, though. Stranger Things has ice cream now. Apparently, there was a couple of ice cream types that came out when the season 4 came out, and I didn't know about that, or maybe I did on the show and I don't remember doing it. But because they were so popular, they have been released a whole bunch of new ones that are available at Walmart. So you can go to Walmart, you can pick them up there. The flavors are pineapple upside down, cinnamon bun bites, triple decker something, mint something, chocolate pudding flavor, USS butterscotch, and the void flavors. So I'm intrigued by some of those, particularly USS butterscotch sounds pretty good. And chocolate pudding might be good depending on what it tastes like, but that would be kind of an interesting take on things. But yeah, that ice cream is now available at Walmart. Muzzle trailer starring Stephen Lang and Aaron Eckhart. Didn't take a look at it. It's an action film. Yeah, but if you're interested in that, you can do that as well. Some Halloween stuff. Oreo Halloween cookie house. You have the gingerbread houses at Christmas. Well, Oreo now has Halloween cookie houses you can build. And also you have 11-foot rainbow skeleton unicorn arch gates inflatable. So it's a lot to put in there. But if you have a long walkway leading to your house and you want a giant 11-foot tall inflatable Halloween-esque looking unicorn that works as an arch also, you can get that now, right now. I talked about the bee that was trapped in amber that you could see the flowers in there. Well, there's the world's smallest dinosaur trapped in amber has been discovered, is 99 million years old. So there are dinosaurs trapped in amber. So Jurassic Park is entirely out of the question. The annular solar eclipse is hitting America on October 14th, 2023. The annular one is the Ring of Fire one, where you have the black of the sun, and then the outside of it is filled with the fires of the sun as a ring of fire in the sky. It said the Americas, so it's going to be visible from South America and North America. Just don't know if it's going to be visible in our area, but it will be available to some people in the Americas, and that's not until October 14th, so about a month away from now. So there you go. Francis Ford Coppola, who's been trying forever to get Megalopolis made and has finally gotten it made, only to be hit with the SAG-AFTRA and WGA strikes, so he really can't promote the film and doesn't know when they're going to release it or whatever. So now this film that's like his dream film is now sort of sitting. Well, not for much longer now, because he has made a deal, gotten an agreement with SAG-AFTRA that he can release this film. Again, don't know the circumstances of it, but he will be able to release this film eventually. Don't know. I'm sure he has a specific time frame he wants to do it in, but he will now be able to do it without fear of SAG-AFTRA attacking him or stuff like that. So he's had a tough time getting these movies made, but now he finally has maybe something that's going to work out. The live action One Piece debuted this week also on Netflix, August 31st. I'm hoping to see it either sometime tonight or tomorrow. I'm interested to see it though. My daughter isn't as keen for it. My wife is intrigued by it, so we'll see when we're going to do this. But I'd like to check that out sometime eventually. Leave the World Behind is a film that's been announced a couple of years ago as a Netflix film, and has just sort of been sitting on the shelf. We're now going to finally get a debut for it and a potential that it could be in the Oscar race now. It is set to debut on Netflix on December 8th, and it will have a limited theatrical release, so it can acquiesce to the new Oscar, the Academy Awards rules about streaming films. You have to have at least a small, debut in films. Those would be like 100 or 1,000 theaters, but you have to have it in at least 4 to 5 theaters, and then you have to, I think, increase it the week after, something like that, and then that's it. Then it could be eligible for Oscars. But considering the cast of it, they probably should do that because it has Julia Roberts, it has Ethan Hawke, it has Mahershala Ali, it's got Kevin Bacon in it, and it's something about a cyber attack that helps like destroy the world or something like that, and how they're trying to recover from it. So it's an interesting premise. I don't think we've seen some photos from it, but I haven't seen the actual trailer from that. We'll probably be seeing that really soon as well. Pumpkin Spice from Chata is a new pumpkin spice drink out there. That's alcoholic that you want. Mountain Dew's Voodoo, their Halloween drink, I think is now available at Walmart, but it will not be opening wide until I think fall. I think September 23rd, I think, is when they're going to debut it. I don't think it's going to be any time before then. I don't think it's the 13th. I don't think it's anything like that. So I'm going to keep an eye out for it because I do want to try the new Voodoo, and I'll try it here definitely on this show. But it's a mystery. For those who don't know what Voodoo is, it's a mystery Mountain Dew flavor that is always, the flavor is connected to some sort of candy. So it's I think Skittles was 1 year, candy corn was 1 year, Sour Patch Kids was 1 year, I think. So it's that sort of thing. Now Gatorade has decided to get into that as well, as has Fanta. Fanta is going to have a mystery flavor as well, and Gatorade is going to have a mystery Halloween sort of flavor as well. So I'm intrigued by those, and if I can find them, I will definitely also try them here on this show. Around 800,000 years ago, something wiped out 98.7% of humans, and nobody knows what it is yet. So that's something to keep an eye on, and we'll see if that could potentially happen again. But 98.7 amounts of humans on the planet were wiped out, and whatever that was. So that's kind of scary. And finally, India has been going hog wild with their space stuff. They just launched their first mission to visit the sun, was launched, I think, yesterday. So that's a good thing as well. Plus their lander, I think I talked about this last week, their lander successfully landed on the south pole of the moon, has been doing some exploration of it, but not much right now. It's just starting its mission. So continue with that. Yeah, still got a lot more to go. Apple cider donut Planters cashews is a new flavor coming out for you here soon. Meg Ryan, who hasn't really been seen in any movies for close to 12, 15 years, whatever, is coming back with a bang on October 13th. She has her new romantic comedy that she's also directing called What Happens Later, and it stars Meg Ryan and David Duchovny as a couple who are exes that are stranded at a airport. And it really looks, from the trailer that was released this week, it looks like they're the only two actors really in this film, and it's like the storm of the century sort of thing. So they're going to be stuck in this airport, but there appears to be like nobody else around, and the airport is like talking to them. Like they comment something, and then the announcement says something back to it. So we'll see. It seems kind of a weird, sort of bizarre romantic comedy, but it looks similar. She hasn't lost a beat, and David Duchovny looks a whole lot older than I'd expect him to be, but the two of them together could be a pretty good connection. There's a Pokemon live action film or TV series coming out, but it's not what you expect. I think I talked about this a few times as well, but it's officially been announced. It's about a young girl who, when she enters her high school or whatever, joins a club that's interested in Pokemon video games. So it's just basically going to be like a high school show, but about a Pokemon club, which also sounds like an anime too, but this is a live action film. So that's pretty cool. A remake of the Darkness video game. The Darkness is a character from Image's independent Top Cow group. That is an interesting character. They had a video game come out back in, I think, the late 90s, early 2000s or whatever, back when the comic was really popular. And now they're doing a remake of it, which is kind of intriguing that they're going to be doing that. McG is ready for Charlie's Angels 3 with Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and Lucy Liu. But it's been 20 some years since the last one came out. And I don't know if anyone else is as excited for it as they are. So nothing's been set in stone, but he said he'd love to do a third one. And the fact of the matter is, Drew Barrymore really doesn't make movies that much anymore. She does her TV show. Cameron Diaz doesn't make movies anymore, and Lucy Liu has just sort of disappeared off the face of the earth. And we haven't really seen her too much, so I don't know if you'd be able to get all that. Journey to the Marvels trailer. The Marvels, the Captain Marvel 2 sequel, is still set to debut November 10th. It has not been moved through all the Disney shuffling. It is still set for a November 10th debut. And they released a new trailer called the Journey to the Marvels trailer, which basically reintroduces the three main characters, Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, and Miss Marvel, and gave their road to where they get to the point in the Marvels, and then show some new footage from the Marvel show. So the new Marvels movie, though, so it should be good. I've taken that day off also, so I'll be seeing that in the movie theaters. It is also, the runtime appears to have been revealed, is also going to be the shortest Marvel Cinematic Universe film of all time, at a brisk hour, 32-minute long film, which, doesn't sound too bad, because when Marvel started doing their movies, they were hour 45 minutes, hour 50 long minutes. It was just when they got popular and they had a lot more story they had to tell, that's when they started doing the 2 to 2.5 hour long movies. But they've been slowly doing that. Thor: Love and Thunder was an hour and 59 minutes, and Ant-Man 3 was just over 2 hours, like 2 hours, 3 minutes, something like that. So the previous ones of those two were like 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 20 minutes sort of thing. So it's a trend that's happening. So, a tight hour, 32-minute film is pretty good. Plus, you have a chance to make a lot more money because you get a lot more viewings in of it. And so I'm intrigued by it. I'm intrigued so much. Again, I took that day off, so I'm going to be able to see that in the movie theaters when it comes out. So I will have a review of that for you as well. Speaking of Marvel, Chris Hemsworth is coming out of retirement. His retirement, he's not really retired. He's just taking a breather while he deals with Alzheimer's stuff. And Pedro Pascal have been cast in a film called Crime 101 that is currently in a bidding war between Amazon and Netflix. So it appears that Amazon appears to be the clear winner right now. And it's sort of just about a jewel thief who is so good that the police who are investigating it believe it might be a group of jewel thieves and not just one, because of how good this jewel thief is. But there's one police officer or federal agent or whatever that knows or thinks it's just one person, so he goes after them. So I don't know who's playing who, but it is a really good cast, and it should be really cool about that. Scientists have discovered a never-before-seen form of oxygen. I don't know if it's something we could breathe or what it could be used for, but there we go. Five Nights at Freddy is coming out. The movie version of that is coming out October 27th. They released a new trailer this week to show a lot more of the scariness of it. It looks like it is good, and it continues to look pretty good. Blumhouse got themselves like another big winner, and I think it's going to make a bunch of money, I think. Saltborn trailer with Barry Cohegan and Rosamund Pike. Again, not one that interests me too much, but it's out there. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, go ahead and dig it. The Ferrari trailer, which is what I was talking about, where Adam Driver went to the Venice Film Festival to watch the debut of it. It's Michael Mann's new film about Ferrari. The guy who created Ferrari, Adam Driver, plays Ferrari. And it also casts Penelope Cruz and Shailene Woodley. The trailer is trying for a very Oppenheimer sort of feel to it. There's no Adam Driver's Ferrari says nothing till the very end of the trailer. And there's really no dialogue in it. It's just a bunch of shots of fast cars and fast women and Adam Driver looking not at all like Adam Driver. So good for him on that aspect. So that has potential to be a big film coming out this year as well. Could be a potential Oscars up there in the thing as well. The Highlander remake with has cast Henry Cavill, and the director is the director of the John Wick films. They say it's going to take stuff from the TV show and the movies, so we'll see how that works out. But that's not really, as I said, not really in the cards until things start easing up from the strike standpoint as well. The Lincoln Lawyer has been renewed for season 3 on Netflix, but it appears that Neve Campbell, again, will not be involved, much like how she was not involved in the new Scream movie. She appears to not be involved in season 3 of The Lincoln Lawyer since her character has departed the city at the end of the series. So we'll see if that actually happens. Love in the Great Smoky Mountains is the name of a new subgenre of Hallmark Channel films, which are national park romances. Now, you can laugh and make jokes about the Hallmark Channel all you want, but its Christmas films are now a huge deal. It is a major event when the Hallmark Channel does its Christmas movies, and there's all kinds of merchandising with it right now, and they make bank, and they people like having predictable sort of fun movies that are just for fun to watch. It's like reading these crappy novels that don't have deep meaning. It's just tell us a good story that's quick, fast, entertaining, and let's move on. And that's what these Hallmark movies are. And I think the idea of filming a bunch of these in national parks is a really good idea, and to create this new subgenre. And hopefully the Great Smoky Mountain Romance will be a success so that they will continue to do more of these, because there are so many national parks, and it could also give you a chance to maybe change the formula a little bit, because each national park is different. Great Smoky Mountains are a smaller mountain range. Then you've got the Rocky Mountain Range, which is a lot bigger one. Then you've got Yellowstone, which is mostly forest and lakes and hot springs. And then you got like the Grand Canyon, which is all desert and stuff like that. And then you've got the Everglades, which is swamps. And then there's other national parks like Antietam and other stuff, which are Civil War battles. So you can do a lot, and you can film at those spots as well, as long as you don't disrupt the flow of the national park, because the whole point of the national park is to keep the animals and the fauna and the flora and all that satisfied, and you just come and watch, and you don't do anything to affect it. And you can make movies in those national parks without affecting those types of things. So it's just a matter of doing it right. So hopefully say what you want, but it is going to be predictable. What's going to happen, but still you're going to have gorgeous scenery, and there are so many national parks, and to give you a chance to maybe try different story arcs. With Christmas ones, you have a general idea of what you want to do, but national park romances, you're going to have to change things up depending upon where you film it. So this one could just be about a couple that meets in the national park, and you could do one about rangers who are working in national park, or one about a native of the Grand Canyon, Native American of the Grand Canyon, falling in love with a regular person. They are regular people, but a white man or whatever. So kinds of interesting stuff like that. So I'm not gonna make fun of that. I think it's kind of a neat idea. So Good on them for that. Speaking of movies, this is actually Cocaine Bear. We know when that came out earlier this year was going to have a bunch of spin-offs, stuff like that. No one really expected Barbenheimer to create a spin-off, but this one did. The company, I think it was Full Moon, which is a production company that did the old school Puppet Master movies, which were puppets that were done in stop motion that were homicidal, and they went out and they killed people, stuff like that. There's a whole bunch of Puppet Master movies, like 4 or 5, and they were on like Cinemax and stuff like that. And they're shitty B movies with, stop motion puppets killing people. They've decided that they're going to make a Barbenheimer movie. And it's about a killer doll who creates an atomic bomb. Puppet Master is about homicidal puppets. Barbenheimer is going to be about a doll that creates nuclear weapons. I wish I was joking. I'm not. But it's up there with the Cocaine Bear sequels and stuff like that. So, yeah, there's going to actually be a movie called Barbenheimer. Yes, it's not going to make it to movie theaters, but someone took that idea and went, hey, let's go for it. It's trying to be the next Sharknado, probably. Our Flag Means Death, the pirate film from the pirate TV show from Taika Waititi, is getting a second season, and their trailer popped out this week. I think the new season starts in October. Hers Crunchy and Sweet Cotton Candy Balls is a new sweet treat for fans of crunchy and sweet cotton candy. Florida baseball team, the University of Florida baseball team, lists their entire baseball stadium on Airbnb for $5,000. So for $5,000, you can stay at the Florida baseball stadium. No. Crazy weird. Subway is having a flying restaurant. It's going to be in a blimp, which will serve sandwiches 1,000 feet in the air. Now, I don't know if you actually have to go into the blimp to get those, and they'll just fly over like stadiums or cities or whatever, or they're actually, you can order them and they'll fly it. They'll bring it down to you. I don't know exactly how it works, but yeah, that's what's going on. Reese's Cookie Dough Poppers peanut butter flavor are out now. They're just these little popper things you can just pop in your mouth, but they are Reese's peanut butter cup flavored ones from Pillsbury. The Idol has been canceled at Max after one season. It got a lot of bad hate. It was the Weeknd's show, which also had Johnny Depp's daughter in it, and it was trying for a Euphoria vibe with a lot of gratuitous sex and nudity, and just overall not a fun story. Critics hated it. Viewers didn't watch it and were creeped out by it, and so much so that a lot of people don't want to listen to the Weeknd's music anymore. So it has been canceled after just one season. Que sera, sera. Yasmin Finney, who is playing the new version of Rose in the new Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials, has now been verified as being the daughter of former Doctor Who companion Donna Noble and her husband Sean Temple. So that's kind of a neat little bit of story there. It fits perfectly with what they're going to be doing with these 60th anniversary movies and specials. So that'd be kind of cool to see how that goes. All 3 Christopher Nolan Batman films will be re-released in movie theaters next, not this upcoming weekend, but next weekend, the 16th of September, I believe, is Saturday. Let's see, today is the 3rd, so 7 days would be 10th, 17th. The 16th of September is the official Batman Day, where you go to comic book stores, they will have free Batman comics and Batman generated sales and stuff like that. So in order to celebrate that, all 3 Christopher Nolan Dark Knight movies will be re-released in movie theaters to celebrate the arrival of Batman Day. Now, that's not too unusual because Jurassic Park was just released for its 30th anniversary. They released a 3D version on my son's birthday, and it made $1.7 million, which may not sound like a lot, but when you consider that Jurassic Park has been out for 30 years, and you can watch it anytime you want now. You probably own the DVD or the Blu-ray, or you can go it on streaming or whatever. You can watch it whenever you want to. People still went to the movies to see it. It made $1.7 million more dollars. So, a re-release of the 3 Christopher Nolan Batman movies. Christopher Nolan's on a high right now, with Oppenheimer being now, I think it's another story later on, is now the second highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. Don't know what the first one is yet. I have to look that up. It didn't say in the article, but it is the second. So, and he was also named in some sort of websites, who has been the best director in the last 25 years. He was named the best director in the last 25 years. So Christopher Nolan's, at an all-time high right now. So why not release all 3 Batman movies in the movie theater in time for Batman Day as well? So good on that for there. A Native American group is trying to bring back the Redskins name, which is kind of a interesting take on stuff. The ownership of the Washington football team changed the name from the Redskins to the Commanders due to people saying that it's a racist slur against Native Americans. But there is a Native American group that at the same time, even though it might be considered a racist slur, is also considered a badge of honor, maybe, that a football team is named for them and gave them something to cheer for, and that had Native American imagery and stuff like that. And even though it was a racial slur, it still brought awareness to Native American things. But the new ownership has declined that they are going to change the name back to the Redskins, which I think is kind of a bad move on their part, because I think the fan base wants it to be back to the Redskins, or at least a different name than the Commanders, because they do not like the Commanders name at all. So we'll see how this one goes out. But there is a Native American group that is actual Native Americans who said you should bring back the Redskins name. So that one is to be continued. We'll see how that actually goes. We'll be probably hearing more and more about that as the football year progresses. Football year starts on Thursday, so we'll work on that. Speaking of Jurassic Park, Peacock is releasing a Jurassic Park Lego film. It's basically, I think they said that it's the whole movie of Jurassic Park, but done entirely in Lego. So they're releasing that, and that's not unusual. There's Lego movies out all the time, so it's just an interesting one that they decided to go with Jurassic Park, or they finally made one, whatever. Jennifer Lawrence is rumored to be up for a Tinkerbell live-action film. I think she'd be good as, Tinkerbell. And you can take a different look at Tinkerbell than you saw in Peter Pan. I think Jennifer Lawrence probably has the attitude and the ability to do it. So I think it'd be great. Speaking of that, also, director Baz Luhrmann, who just did the Elvis movie and has done a whole bunch of other stuff, is rumored to be in the running. It's on here somewhere. I'll find it later. Is in the running to direct the live-action Tangled movie, which could be an interesting take on it if they decide to do that. Don't know if they're going to, but if it does, Baz Luhrmann is definitely an intriguing choice to do a live-action Disney film. So more power to them, I guess. A woman hid a gun and was successful into getting it past airport security. She hid the gun within the folds of her fat. I have no response to that. But there we are. And then, no, it wasn't the airport. It was at the Chicago White Sox baseball game. She was able to smuggle in the gun through security at the Chicago White Sox stadium, and the gun accidentally discharged during the game. I'm sorry, I didn't read the whole article. I forget about that. Hid in her belly fat. That's crazy. My favorite band, REM, had an anniversary this week. Their one of their best albums, Document, came out in 1987. So 87, 97, 2007, 2017, 36 years ago. So it's a great album. It has End of the World as We Know It and I Feel Fine. The One I Love are the two major ones. One I Love, I think, might actually be on Green. Now I think about that. Hold on. Let me. Maybe I'm not wrong. document. REM. And the world as we know it, King of Birds. Let's see. Fellows. Finest work song, Terms of the Hair. Yeah, the one I love is on there. Yeah, I was right. Exhuming McCarthy. The highlights of document are Exhuming McCarthy, The One I Love, Welcome to the Occupation, Disturbance of the Herod House, King, finest work song, King of Birds, The End of the World as We Know It, Oddfellows, Local 151's Lightning Hopkins is okay, but you've got some really good albums. Oh, These Days is in it also. I didn't think it was in there, but okay, it is. So good on that. I didn't see that on the listing here. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Late because Driver 8 isn't on there. So These Days isn't. No, These Days is on the other one. Yeah. So no, I was right. So These Days is not in it. So in the world of Know It, The One I Love, Finest Work Song, Zoom McCarthy, Terms of the Herod House, Finest Work Song, King of Birds, all good ones. Lightning Hopkins okay, Fireplace okay, King Strange okay, Oddfellows Local 151's okay. So that's that. Deaths this week. We have Gil Brandt, who is a football guy who helped turn the Dallas Cowboys from a crappy team to America's team in the 80s, was also a Hall of Fame player. He passed away this week. Dr. Mike Cronart, a veterinarian at the Baltimore Zoo, died this week as well. And James Christopher, the first assistant director for all the Harry Potter movies and a bunch of Marvel Cinematic movies, he died this week as well. All right, we got about a page and a half here. We should be just about 2 hours probably. Bear jumps into pool, flashes smile at the camera when the picture was taken of him. So good for the Bears. They're enjoying their lives just before they have to go into hiding for 6 months due to hibernation. They should be starting to get themselves into hibernation shape here soon. So we'll find out more about that also. Ballpark Hot Dogs has created a nacho cheese flavor. I'm assuming the nacho cheese is inside the hot dog. Could be interesting. We'll see what happens. Ridley Scott has a ready 4.5 hour long director's cut of Napoleon. Now, the reason why I said that is because I know this guy gets under my skin, and I mention him every week, but I have to. Zack Snyder, the whole reason why he's a fucking con man, the Donald Trump of the movie world, is because he claimed he had a director's cut of his Justice League. So when everybody was clamoring for the Snyder cut, Warner Bros. Said, "Okay, get us. Can you get it to us so we can air it?" He's like, "Oh, it's not finished yet. I need $1 million to finish it." And Warner Bros. Like, "What? I need $1 million to finish it. Get it to me so I can finish it. The world wants it. You saw that." So Warner Brothers is like, "Okay, but you said it was done." It wasn't done. He claimed to have a Snyder cut because he saw all the hate that it was getting, and he said that there's a better cut of it, and actually it's a shitty cut. And the $1 million, he added stuff to it that was not originally going to be in the movie. It wasn't stuff that was already filmed. That's what a director's cut basically is. It's stuff that he already has filmed that he had to edit out of it for whatever reason. And he wanted $1 million so he can add stuff that he saw people clamoring for. So he's basically remaking his movie. But that's the difference. Ridley Scott, who's been known to do director's cut, he's got director's cut for most of his movies come out on Blu-ray and stuff like that. He's already got it ready. He says, if a company wants to run a 4.5 hour movie in the movie theater, I got it ready for you. It's got everything. It's got the sound. Doesn't need any extra money thrown to it. I've already got it cut. But he also knows that no one is really going to sit still for a 4.5 hour long film in a movie theater. So he's going to prep a Blu-ray version of it more than likely. And he's going to release probably maybe a 3 hour or 2.5 hour long version of his, probably closer to a 3 hour one, because Oppenheimer was a 3 hour movie and it did bank. So I'm assuming that he's thinking the same thing could happen for him. And honestly, I'd like to see his Napoleon movie, to be fully honest about that. So he has a ready 4.5 hour long director's cut. It's ready. Doesn't need any extra $1 million so he can remake the fucking movie. He's not fucking Zack Snyder, con man asshole. Ridley Scott actually has the film ready to go. So if someone said, "Yeah, show the 4.5-hour one," he's like, "There it is. No extra money needed. There it is. It's ready." Because he's going to release it on Blu-ray more than likely, because you can get his other director's cuts on Blu-ray now too. Just type in Ridley Scott director's cut, it'll pop up. He's got Kingdom of Heaven's got one, and I think the one that he wrote about the Bible is in there too. So there's some interesting ones as well. Mountain Dew is going to release 2 new flavors this November, Citrus Cherry and Mystic Punch, that are going to be part of their Game Fuel line. So I can't wait to see those because they look pretty good. And Voodoo, of course, is coming out later this month as well. So they got some good stuff out there. Get ready, boys and girls. Saw the Musical is coming, but this is on a off-Broadway stage. It's ready to go, and it's debuting. But yes, Saw the Musical, based on the horror saga. There's a musical version of it. You're welcome. Apple has announced a September 12th iPhone event. Everybody believes that it'll be the release event for the iPhone 15, which is going to be the newest iPhone out there, which is a good sign, because then me, my wife, and I can finally sit down and get our new phones. We've been needing new phones now for about 2 years, but my wife's been putting it off because of the cost for it. Maybe now with the iPhone 15 coming out, the iPhone 10s or Xs or whatever, the most recent ones will be a lot cheaper, and we'll be able to get upgrades. That's usually do. We usually upgrade to the one that's after the one that just came, or before the one that came out right now, or the newest one that's out. So we'll see what that's all about here in a second. Let's see where this is. I don't know where Ferris University is. Let's check this out. Where is Ferris University? Let me just X this out, delete. Ferris University. There's Ferris University. No, I don't think it's that. It's got to be this one. Because it wasn't a woman's school. Well, maybe it is because they don't have a story for this. Let me just see if it's the Japanese. But it had a male, though. Ferris State University is in Michigan, Big Rapids, Michigan, and Ferris University is in Japan. But I need to figure out which one it is. It's a women's college. Ferris University in Japan is a women's college. It's got to be the Michigan one, because I don't think it's right here either. But supposedly, and I'll just go with that, it's the Michigan one. Ferris State University is going to allow students to have pets on campus now, like in your dorm room, stuff like that. Most campuses now do not allow you pets on campus if you're living in the dorms. But if you live off campus, you're allowed, obviously, to have pets because you're living off campus. But if you live on campus, you're not allowed to have pets. Whereas I believe it's Ferris State University in Big Rapids, Michigan, is now allowing their students to have pets on campus as well. The 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea prequel, the Nautilus sort of UK TV series that Disney Plus was high on, is no longer high on it anymore. They are not going to release the series on Disney Plus. They've actually removed it. So that's continuing. That thing that still pisses me off is that they have stuff that's in the works or is being done, and then they're just going to say, we're not going to show it. You spent all this money for it. Why don't you just show it? What's the harm in it? Maybe someone's going to like it. Maybe it'll become hugely popular. You don't know. Maybe it'll make you some money. You don't know. Just release the shit and see what happens. Damn. This is an intriguing movie. It's not coming out till next year, but it's called The Book of Clarence, and it stars Lakeith Stanfield, James McAvoy. I can't read my damn writing. Omar Sy, Alfred Woodard, Mary Jane Baptiste, and a few others as well. And basically, and the trailer came out this week, and basically what it is it takes place in 33 AD, and it follows two black guys who are walking in the Middle East. Middle East is, has, you know, they don't stand out. They look normal being in there. They're just coming out there and they see Jesus, who is being followed around by people, and they start talking about, how they'd like to be like him and be popular and famous like him. And you don't see what Jesus' face looks like. He's in a hood and you can't see his face, stuff like that, which is kind of cool. And so they decide that they're going to sort of become these sort of Christians, sort of start following Jesus, and then Jesus is crucified. And so this guy, Clarence, who had such high hopes for him, has decided that he's going to become the next Messiah. So he ends up, becoming a Messiah. So it's a little bit like Life of Brian, kind of, but not as, it has a little bit of comedy aspects of it, but it could be, it's an intriguing look at the Jesus story, a new take on it, and it's going to be controversial. It's not due out till next year, but it should be one that's probably going to be one to look forward to in 2024 that might sneak up on you. So keep an eye out on that one, The Book of Clarence. New trailer's out, so you can see for yourself what it's all about. We talked about the Stranger Things ice cream. Well, Little Debbie's also is releasing ice cream. Chocolate chip cream pie flavored, apple fruit pie flavor, turtle brownie flavor, and pumpkin delight flavor are all going to be in. Those are all Little Debbie snack cakes. You can now get them in ice cream form as well. Now, when the strike first happened, the SAG-AFTRA strike and the Writers Guild strike happened, the FX's Alien series that Noah Hawley is working on has said, we're not going to shut down production despite all this stuff. They're working in Thailand, blah, blah, blah. That they were going to keep working on it despite all the strike stuff. Well, it finally caught up with them, and they have to shut down production of their Alien TV show. They thought they'd get away with it, but they didn't. McDonald's has a Spy X Family crossover and a Loki crossover coming up, so they're really getting into pop culture crossovers, and so you're going to start seeing those crossovers bleeding into the actual McDonald's restaurants as well. Lupin Part 3 on Netflix is due out October 5th, so fans of the original Lupin stuff can continue to see the next series. Yu Yu Hakusho is going to be getting an ugly Christmas sweater line, probably going to be available at, what is that place that everyone goes to at the mall? I can't think right now. My mind isn't working right now. But there are places that sell like a lot of anime and manga stuff, and they'll probably be at that location as well. The Killer trailer with Michael Fassbender, it's David Fincher's remake of The Killer, is set for a Netflix debut on November 10th. Phil Collins is joining many other musicians in retiring from touring, but his reason is not due to just because they're too old and don't feel like touring anymore. He actually has physical health issues, so he'll no longer be able to do that. So he has retired from touring for his music anymore. Skull Island, The Rise of Kong video game is set to debut in October. So if you always wanted to play as King Kong in a video game, you're going to be able to get your chance now. A bar in Milwaukee will pay your tab when the Jets lose a game started by Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers left Green Bay, which is near Milwaukee, to join the New York Jets, and they are still salty about that. So if he loses, like if he loses the opening day game this next weekend, and you're at that bar and you were watching the game, they will pay your bar tab. So that's pretty cool. So you want him to lose then. Family Switch, that's what it is. Family Switch is a new Netflix film coming out November 30th. Stars Ed Helms, Jennifer Garner, Emma Myers from Wednesday, Rita Moreno, and Brady Moon. It's about a family that I think switches bodies instead of the typical father-daughter or father-son, mother-daughter. The whole family switches bodies. I think it's going to be one of those little family sort of films due out November 30th, right after. It's probably Thanksgiving weekend, so it's probably right around that time. It's Thanksgiving weekend. When is Thanksgiving this year? No, it's not Thanksgiving weekend. Thanksgiving is the 23rd of November this year. So, yeah, so it comes out after Thanksgiving, but right before Christmas, though. So you'll be able to enjoy that. Obliterated is a new Netflix original action comedy show from the creators of Cobra Kai. The basic premise behind it is, and it's C. Thomas Howell's one of the stars. The basic premise behind it is the greatest U.S. elite special force team enters Las Vegas to deactivate a bomb that could destroy the entire continent or whatever. And they succeed. So they're in Vegas and they get drunk and debauched. They have sex and, drugs and alcohol and go crazy. And they wake up in the morning and discover that the bomb that they deactivated was a decoy and the actual bomb is still set to go off. So now hungover and all that stuff, they're going to have to save the day that way. So that's what Obliterate's about. So for you people who believe that the moon landing was faked, congratulations. You're an idiot, because India, again, with India, their whole space program is starting to blow up here now. Since they have that lander that lands on the south pole of the moon, they've been orbiting the moon, taking pictures before the landing of the craft. And one of the places, actually two of the places they took pictures of, you can actually see the actual LEMs left behind by Apollo 11 and Apollo 12 on the moon where they were supposed to be. So pictures straight from the moon of where the LEMs for Apollo 11 and 12 were supposed to be were, oh my God, miraculously photographed on the moon from space. It looks like we fucking landed on the moon now, doesn't it? You dumb fucks. Thank you, India, for that. Keep going. Keep proving those morons wrong. And this is another really great idea, too. I wish this would come to America. And you got to love the Japanese for this, because they come up with all kinds of crazy stuff. And a lot of it's really smart. The Japanese have created an air-conditioned coat, which basically means that you can put this coat on during a blazing hot summer, like we're getting ready to get here in the next few days, and zip it up and turn the air conditioning on, and the air conditioning will stay on your body, and you can stay nice and cool in this air-conditioned coat. It's the coolest, literally, idea I have ever heard, and I really want one badly. So congrats on that, Japan. Outstanding job. Anniversary, Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me came out 31 years ago this week. And Mary Poppins came out 59 years ago this week, which means next year is Mary Poppins' 60th anniversary. 1964 then, so pretty cool. All right, we're on our last batch of info here. A sequel to Free Guy is supposedly in the works right now with Ryan Reynolds supposedly to return. So we'll see how that actually works out, how you can actually do that. Again, that's not from an official site yet, so I don't know if it's actually true or not, but it made a lot of money, so it makes sense. Starfield is the hot new video game out now this week. You get to be a space explorer and you explore all different types of planets and stuff like that. It sounds like a really neat kind of idea. So if you like the movie Interstellar, it's actually sort of like that, where you explore these different planets and try to survive and stuff like that. The horror film Oregon Trail is a horror film set on the Oregon Trail, and it's called Oregon Trail. I think that's a great idea. I think I talked about that before, but I just wanted to bring it up again because I think it's a great idea. Now, Starfield being the big hit video game out now that everybody's talking about and looking at. I mean, there's been a lot of those. Diablo's been in that window, and Berserk is one that's going on now, and there's a whole bunch of other ones as well that have become the Harry Potter one earlier, but now Starfield is the one. On the flip side, unfortunately, the RoboCop video game has been delayed again, which is a shame because Peter Weller is coming back to do the voice for it. And it would be a really cool, because RoboCop to me is still one of the most cleanest designs of a character. And I think I'm going to use him when I go upstairs to play Fortnite here in a few minutes. So I think that's kind of interesting. Starbucks has an iced apple crisp oat milk espresso drink, which sounds good. Again, as I said, pumpkin gets all the accolades for fall, but apple is just right there also, saying, hey, we're ripe and in season right now too, and there's all kinds of stuff you can do with us. And more stuff you can do with us than with pumpkin. So, come on and do it, man. The Untitled Goose Game, which is hugely popular, now has an Untitled Cat Game. It's not by the same company, but it's similar. It's just think of it as the Untitled Goose Game, but with the cat as the star. So the cat goes after you and does all that crazy stuff as well. One of these days I will play Untitled Goose Game because I do have it on my Switch. The Barbie Girl band Aqua that sang the song Barbie Girl is actually going on a Barbie World Tour to, since Barbie is hot, why not go out on the world tour and sing your songs and get people to come to it? The writers for the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars movies from Marvel have been released, so they've got new writers coming in because I guess you've got to rewrite and redo stuff considering that your schedule has now been all shot to hell because of SAG-AFTRA and WGA and stuff like that, so you got to work out some stuff. Trailer for a movie called Rustin, which is a biopic about a gay civil rights activist, is due out here soon. Jurassic Chess is a dinosaur chess board where the chess pieces are all different types of dinosaurs. So for fans of dinosaurs, there you go. I talked about that. Dog kept escaping its shelter to sleep at a nursing home. So the nursing home staff decided to adopt him. That's a cute little story. Machete came out 13 years ago this week. Newborn twins were born on the same day as their mother and father. That's kind of interesting as well. At the California-Nevada state line, at the Cal Nev Lake, there is a hotel that has a swimming pool, which is where the actual Nevada-California border is, and it's drawn in the pool. So you can go in that pool and you can swim in California and you can swim in Nevada. You can say, I swam to California from Nevada, or I swam from California to Nevada, and it's right there. I think it's kind of cool. I think Frank Sinatra owned that hotel or something like that. And finally, the U.S. Open doubles match was interrupted by a squirrel trespasser. And moments later, a Penn State football game was also delayed by a squirrel intruder, trespasser. So squirrels are the best, and just thought I'd bring that up there. All right, next week's episode will be probably on a Saturday because of the NFL starting on Sunday. My family will not be here, so I'll be home alone, so that'll be kind of cool as well. And we'll see what comes about that. Look for possible NFL preview and fall preview coming up in the next day or so. If that, maybe. I got to go to the bathroom now, so I'm leaving. Thanks for watching, and see you later. Bye.